Steelers beat the Lions 16-13 in Week 1. They lost the next 8 games, and by Week 10 against the Vikings, their frustration was evident in a 52-14 loss. How bad were the 1969 Steelers? Quarterback Dick Shiner's 18-yard touchdown was the team's longest touchdown run of the season. The Steelers didn't have a breakaway running back. The longest run by a running back was only 16 yards by 29-year-old veteran Earl Grohl, who was the team's second leading rusher with only 343 yards. 30-year-old Dick Hoke was the team's leading ground gainer and second leading receiver. Steelers scored the least amount of rushing touchdowns in the NFL with only 8. When it happened, it was cause for a big celebration. The Steelers also scored the least amount of total touchdowns and committed the most fumbles, 36. The Steelers' pass protection allowed 52 sacks, almost 4 per game, 5th worst in the NFL. In Week 8 against the Bears, the woeful Steelers offense only mustered 86 total yards of offense in a 38-7 drubbing in which Bears quarterback Bobby Douglas started his 4th NFL game. This was the Bears' only win in the season. Rocky Bleier was the 16th of 17 Steeler draft picks in 1968. His 11 years on the Steelers roster was the same number as the total years of the other 16 players selected. He only had 107 scrimmage yards in 1968 after 12 games. Then he was drafted by Uncle Sam's Army on December 4th, 1968. On August 20th, 1969, he was hit by a bullet in his left thigh, then later had a grenade blow up on his right foot, knee, and thigh. He had more than 100 pieces of shrapnel removed, as well as part of his right foot. With the undying support of Steelers owner Art Rooney, he was placed on the injured reserve list rather than waived. In 1971, he was placed onto their taxi squad, a practice squad. Bleier made the team in 1972. Although he only carried the ball 4 times in 1972 and 1973, he was a contributor to the special teams unit. Rocky was a terrific blocker for backfield mate Franco Harris, and he developed into a fine runner too, as he rushed for 1,036 yards in 1976. In 1980, Rocky wrote an autobiography, and a made-for-TV movie starring Robert Urich portrayed Rocky's amazing comeback. Steelers quarterbacking in 1969 left a lot to be desired. Even when a pass was right on the money, there was no guarantee that it was going to be caught. Dick Shiner threw 7 touchdowns against 10 interceptions, and that was by far the best touchdown-to-interception ratio on the team amongst their 3 quarterbacks. Terry Hanratty out of Notre Dame was a second-round draft pick of the Steelers in 1969. A lot was expected of him, but he was thrown into the fire too soon. He did throw 8 touchdowns, but he also threw 13 interceptions on only 126 attempts. His 41.7 quarterback rating reflected his poor season. In Week 5 against the Browns, Hanratty made his NFL debut. This 31-yard run was the second longest for the Steelers in 1969. The longest was 35 yards on an end-around play by wide receiver J.R. Wilburn. Kent Nix played in 5 games, threw 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions on only 53 attempts. His 37.2 quarterback rating was 4th worst in the league. Wide receiver Roy Jefferson had the best season of any Steelers player. He had the 3rd most catches in the NFL and the 2nd most receiving yardage, along with 9 touchdowns. He made the Pro Bowl and first-team All-Pro. So what did the Steelers do after the season ended? They traded him to the Colts for wide receiver Willie Richardson, who was the brother of wide receiver Gloucester Richardson, and a 1970 draft choice. Jefferson caught 3 passes for 52 yards in the Colts' 16-13 Super Bowl win on January 17, 1971. So how was the Steelers' defense? It was awful. They allowed the most points in the NFL, almost 29 per game. The Vikings scored 52 against them, the Cardinals 47, the Browns 42, the Eagles 41, and the Packers and Bears each scored 38. The Steelers allowed this 12-yard touchdown run by Craig Morton, which was the 2nd longest run of his 18-year NFL career. They were bad stopping the run and equally bad at defending the passing game, whether it be short or long. Week 10, Don McCall ran this kickoff 101 yards for a touchdown. But naturally, they returned the favor later in the game when John Beasley snared Charlie West's fumble and ran 60 yards for a touchdown. Punter Bobby Walden was the Steelers' only Pro Bowl player in 1969 other than Jefferson, and it was his only such designation in his 14-year career. Kicker Gene Mingo did not attend college. He led the AFL in scoring as a rookie and did it again in 1962, which goes to prove that a college education is overrated. "1969 was the last year that the Steelers played at Pitt Stadium. Three Rivers Stadium was their new home, and it signaled positive change for the Steelers' fortunes. They drafted defensive tackle Joe Green 4th overall in 1969, and he was already paying big dividends. He would be the defensive anchor for the Steelers' 1970s dynasty. Defensive end L.C. Greenwood was also drafted in 1969. He played college at Arkansas Pine Bluff, and he played directly next to Joe Green every season through 1981. His nickname was Hollywood Bags, due to his desire to become an actor after retiring from football. John Kolb was a center in 1969 and 1970, although he didn't have any starts. He was switched to left tackle, and for the next 6 years he did not miss a start. While the 1969 Steelers draft was impressive, it was only the beginning of what future draft classes would yield, as 9 future Hall of Famers were drafted from 1970 through 1975.